come in and give you an update on the program that was y'all established. Packet of information you got. Going down during the presentation, we'll get to that and I'll explain everything that you're looking at in front of you there. As you know, Covington Emergency Services was started by the city in October the 1st, 2018. We started staffing Monday through Thursday, 2 people, 24 hours, with AMR still staffing weekends. On October the 15th, we started staffing 2 people, 24 hours, 7 days a week. To be able to do this, the city already had some part-time people in place. We had to hire an additional 17 providers. To do that, there had to be a process developed, which included background checks, criminal history checks, and driving record checks. They were performed by the police department. Also, a testing process had to be established. There were 3 practical testing stations and an interview panel. After all of that, there were 17 additional part-timers were hired. Brings a total of 26, including myself. 12 EMTs, 5 advanced EMTs, 5 EMT intermediates, and 4 EMT paramedics. Covington Emergency Services does not provide funding for initial certification for anybody, but of the people working for us since the program's been implemented, we've had 2 providers that have advanced at their own cost to the level of paramedic. I have 3 who have either certified or recertified in advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced life support, or pre-hospital trauma life support. 7 have recerted at EVOC and 6 have recerted at CPR. During the same time period, since October, we've established standards of conduct and discipline, standards on emergency and non-emergency driving, and other operational guidelines such as dealing with pre-hospital death in the field, daily truck checks, just about anything to cover our program. All of these are in addition to the city handbook that we all have to go by to. There were things that were pertinent to us that wasn't addressed in the city handbook, so they had to be established. We work closely with the volunteers on supply, restock, and ordering. The volunteers and the career staff work together and try to reduce the amount of stuff we have to buy, encourage the restocking that's allowed under law at the hospital. It cuts down on what we've got to buy when we can exchange at the hospital legally. Have reorganized a couple of operational type things. One in particular is the jump bag, a joint thing between the volunteers and the part-time staff to come up with a jump bag that when you got out of the truck, you was equipped to handle just about anything. That's been implemented with a big assistance from the volunteers helping get that done. With the help of the city, with the funding of the city, have put 3 new cardiac monitor / defibrillators into operation. Everything's going well with them, able to transmit EKGs to the hospital. Still working on the hospital end, some of their bugs, but that's working well. We've established quality assurance training on report writing, which helps to comply with the billing requirements. Our soft billing company, there are certain things that have to be reported and in a certain way, and we've addressed that, done training and quality assurance on that. We have been 100% compliant with the soft billing requirements since September. Along with all of this, we've strongly encouraged an atmosphere to work closely with the volunteers, not only the rescue, but the fire and the rescue. Emphasis on the rescue because that's who we're working more directly hand in hand with. But also with the volunteer fire department. They're a big help. And we can't do what we're doing without either one of them. And I would hope that they feel like we're an asset to them also. Along with the fire department, we've also established procedures for fire calls, certain things that we would do to help the fire department. especially in the initial stages of the fire call. That's pretty much what we've done in the last 3 months, or in the first 3 months of operation. In front of y'all, what you've got is 3 months worth of calls. In the 3 months, this is October, November, and December of 18, there was 357 responses. In those 357 responses, there was twice that we had to ask for mutual aid assistance. One time was on the code, one time was when we had one ambulance out of service in the garage, 2 other ambulances on the call at the same time. We had personnel, but we just didn't have a truck. And West Vaco immediately responded with a truck force. But for looking at October, I have to explain the way I broke this down, because everybody's idea ain't the way I figure things out here. October 2018, there was 127 responses. We'll make it simple, 73, 311, 11-7. It's first shift, second shift, third shift. First shift, there was 38 responses. 19 of them were assisted by volunteers. Second shift, there was 35 responses. 20 of them we were assisted by volunteers. Third shift, there was 18 responses. 3 of them we were assisted by volunteers. All total, there was 5 times that the part-time staff was unavailable in October because they were on another call. 4 of those 5 times, the volunteers answered that call. The 5th time, the paid staff was able to clear up from the hospital before the volunteers marked en route. So it appears that the volunteers were a lot of help there. AMR during that month, because they were still here part of the month, they handled 18 calls, and the volunteers assisted them 6 times. The volunteers responded to 5 mutual aid responses that month. I understand there was some question about whether the volunteers were coming out on fire calls or leaving that up to the career staff. During the month of October, there was 4 fire calls that there was no volunteer response. But you need to keep in mind, or I'd ask you to keep in mind, some of those are carbon monoxide detector activated at 12:30 at night. The smell of gas, at the gas station, a gas spill at the gas station, somebody's tanks overflow. So it's not like they're not coming out when there's a fire call. They're responding, but those were the 4 times in October. We had no mutual aid request in October. We didn't call anybody else. In November, there were 109 responses. Again, 53 on first shift. We were assisted 25 times by the volunteers. 21 on second shift, assisted 10 times. 24 on third shift, assisted 11 times. We were unavailable 11 times. The volunteers handled 9 of those, and 2 of them, the crew was able to clear the hospital, so no calls were rolled over to another agency. Volunteers responded to 6 mutual aid responses. And again, there was 4 fire calls. And again, those were gas spills, carbon monoxide detectors, things like that. We requested mutual aid from outside agencies 1 time, which was for a code, and we did receive assistance from 2 cardiac or intermediates from the county and from West Rock. So, one-timers a little bit of concern. If we say we're not going, they're not coming to help us, people are still willing to help, okay? December, 121 responses. Again, 50 first shift responses assisted 24 times by volunteers, 33 second shift, 23 assists, 23 third shift with 6 assists. EMS was unavailable 10 times, and the volunteers handled all 10 of those when the EMS was unavailable. Volunteers responded to 6 mutual aid calls in the month of December. They went outside of the city. Career people were not supposed to respond to mutual aid. We did do 2 advanced life support intercepts via an outside agency. As they came through, they requested advanced life support, and we would intercept them. Not to leave anybody, if they're in severe case of help, we're not to leave them hanging. During December, the volunteers were unable to answer one mutual aid call because they didn't have a unit available. And the career staff was unable to answer one first due because we had the ambulance broke down, and that's when West Rock provided the ambulance. Some of the things that we've dealt with, Rescue 35, which is the oldest ambulance, it was out of service from November the 22nd to the 29th. It was a Greenbrier in West Virginia putting fuel injectors in, and it was out for a month. Again, from in January, it was out again, well, the end of December, from Christmas Day until the 27th. No, I'm sorry. From January 25th to the 27th, it was out again. Rescue 36, which is the newest truck, it was out for a month. That was a recall. Chris, what was it when we were on 36?
Water pump.
Water pump. And that was a recall. Part of the problem was dealing with Chevrolet. It took them so long to get the parts in here. All three trucks are back in service now, but during that time period, when we didn't have one ambulance, Dunlap loaned us an ambulance to use for 4 days, which is within compliance with the EMS rules. And as I said, West Rock, I notified them the day that we had 2 down, and they were willing to respond in ambulance if we needed to. It's a good working relationship with the other agencies.